Greetings, gamers! Shoot Kapow here. Pokemon Leaf Green was a quick, fun run, but now it's time for a bit more of a traditional challenge. Today's the day I take on a hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokemon Emerald. I've been Nuzlocking for a long time, but I've never done a hardcore Nuzlocke of one of the hardest mainline Pokemon games there is. The full rule set will be down in the description, but basically we have the regular 3 Nuzlocke rules of permadeath, 1 encounter per route, and nicknaming every Pokemon, even if it takes me forever to come up with names. The hardcore Nuzlocke adds a few rules like battling on set mode, no overleveling past the gym leader's ace, and of course, the big no items in battle rule. Like always, I'm writing the script as I go through with the challenge, so what you're hearing and reading now is all being written before I've started. Make sure to comment down below whether or not you think I can win. I think while it might take a few attempts, this is a run I can definitely beat. There might be some trial and error and some unlucky fights, and I'm not really looking forward to stuff like Winona and Juan. With all that out of the way, make sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more, and let's hop right into the challenge. We of course start off the run crammed in the back of a moving truck. We get out and meet our next door neighbor, and then immediately have to save his dad from a level 2 Zigzagoon when he literally had 3 whole Pokemon with him. We of course choose Mudkip, the best option and coincidentally my favorite, and 2-shot the rodent. We name her Patricia and set off to fight Brendan. Of course, we go into the fight unprepared and miss a tackle and get crit, which was of course inevitable and not crazy unlucky to get hit by the 6% crit into the 5% tackle miss, meaning technically it's time for attempt 2. We of course start off the run crammed in the back of a moving truck. We get back Patricia, by the way it was super lucky to get another female Mudkip here, and go take our revenge on Brendan. This time, we manage to crit a second tackle and win the battle easier than ever. We head back to Little Root and get some Pokeballs, which means it's encounter time. I finally realize I start recording after I catch Bugug the Wurmple, and then get Greater the Poochyena and line up the Zigzagoon. After helping Wally catch its Ralts, which is definitely going to be hard to fight later and not a one-shot, we can move on to the next route where we can hopefully get a very important encounter. Luckily, we do find Bagel the Wingull, which can be great later, but an encounter that's going to be pretty great now is Sean the Tailo, which means we now have a solid way to sweep through Brawly's gym. He does have a minus attack nature, but hopefully it doesn't hurt us much. In Petalburg Woods, we run into an unexpectedly tough fight against an Aqua Grunt, who has a level 9 Poochyena, which I somehow didn't record again, so here have another MS Pain interpretation. Our team is pretty low leveled, so this has the potential to be pretty bad. We lead with Greater, who can't really do anything, so Bugug comes out to get off a string shot and then try to poison it with Poison Sting, but it takes too much damage and we have to switch him out before he goes down to a crit. We send out Lineup next and try to debuff him as much as possible before we can get Patricia in, but he sand attacks us, so we miss a growl as he gets a +2 attack. We switch Patricia in on a hard tackle, but from here a crit could possibly take us down. We take it to about half of the tackle as it howls, meaning a crit takes out our starter guaranteed. We land one more tackle to bring it to a sliver, and it doesn't crit, meaning we take it out with a single mud slap. Wow, that was pretty intense. Right after we make it out of Petalburg Woods, Greater gets crit by a random Zigzagoon and dies. I love this game. I knew in the back of my mind that it didn't live, but the fact that I didn't switch means it was on me. Luckily, Bugug evolves soon after into a Silcoon, the objectively better of the 2 evolutions, which hurts because I like Dustox more. Another thing that hurts is the fact that we have to make the Death Box so soon, but hopefully we can get some encounters to fill the Poochyena-sized hole in our hearts. We get our encounter on Route 116, which surprisingly is an Abra. I know I have only one chance to catch this thing, so I throw my Great Ball, and it stays in. I name her Paula, and she becomes a new addition to the team. What we don't get is a Whismur and Rustdrift Tunnel, though, because it crits us, meaning we have to switch in Bagel, who crits to take it out. Wow, that was interesting? We don't need a Whismur anyway. After grinding up all my Pokemon to the level cap of 15, it's time to take on Roxanne. Her Geodudes are, as always, one-shots, and then Nose Pass comes out. I didn't edge Patricia to get her to level 16 for this thing, so Water Gun won't 2-shot unless I get really lucky, so I just go for a Mud Slap the first turn. This lowers her accuracy, causing her to miss a Rock Tomb. On the follow-up, we hit a Water Gun to bring her pretty low as she just uses Harden. Her Oran Berry gets her out of KO range, though, which I admittedly forgot about. This means the next Water Gun won't kill, letting her land a Rock Tomb. This means she outspeeds us, but the AI won't go for Rock Tomb again, since it's a speed control move and she's already faster than us. She heals again as we hit her with another Water Gun, and after that she just uses Block and Tackle as we take her down in 2 more turns, winning us our first gym badge. After that we get the Devon Goods and Pico back, and Mr. Stone decides a 10-year-old girl is the best chance to deliver a very important letter to his son, so it's off to Dewford Town. First though, I go ahead and fight Brendan. His Wingull goes down to a few headbutts from lineup, and then his Trico comes out. This isn't a problem though, since we have 3 flying types on the team, so Death Incarnate Sean comes out to one-shot the wizard with a wing attack. We get to Dewford and we can do a few things here. First, we grab the Silk Scarf and I decide to give it to Sean to power up Quick Attack a bit. Then we evolve Patricia into Kadabra, which is going to be great in the early game. Unfortunately, I didn't use the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to change impossible evolutions, which I didn't really want to do to keep with the spirit of the vanilla Nuzlocke, but that means we won't get to use an Alakazam, which does kind of suck. Now we can do Granite Cave, which I don't really want to wait to do because I can get some good encounters in XP here, and I don't feel like wasting a move slot for Flash. I grab a Makuhita, which I named Choji, who will definitely be joining the team at some point since Hariyama is one of my favorite Pokemon. We deliver the letter to Steven, and then head onward after taking out Brawly's gym trainers. This will let me get more XP without having to grind on wild Pokemon, so when I hit the level cap, I can just come back and fight Brawly. Before I leave though, I fish up a Magikarp which I named Janet. Gyarados isn't super useful in this game before the physical special split with so many better water and flying types, but it could still be useful later. Outside of Slateport, I caught a Minun I named Mimi. Yeah, you're staying in the box. It sucks that I couldn't get an electric here. We destroy Team Aqua in the museum, and then it's time to get the last of the XP we need for Brawly. Once we hit the level cap, a pre-poisoned Sean just sweeps his team anyway, but better safe than sorry. By the way, if Hariyama wasn't one of my favorite Pokemon, Choji would live in the box forever because he has Thick Fat, the worst of his two abilities, and his nature raises his special attack while lowering his defense. Man, that's unlucky. Before we reach Mauville City, it's time to fight Brendan. The battle goes well, with Slugma going down to one Mud Shot, and we can switch into Sean as his Grovyle goes for Absorb, and we can take him to red with a Wing Attack as he hits a non-crit pursuit, letting us use a Quick Attack to beat him up on the follow-up. Last is Wingull, but the same combo takes him out as he just misses a Supersonic. After OHKOing Wally's routes with a Thief from Paula, we can get some XP on the way to Verdant Town. First though, I decide to take out the gym, where I expect absolutely nothing bad to happen, even against this Katars who has an Illumise and Volbeat for some reason. Yeah, so I was playing on speed up and didn't know that the Volbeat would both outspeed and have Shockwave, leading to me losing another team member. This is pretty bad because we have one less way to cheese Norman slacking later, but I think we can get other Pokemon to do the same. Pelipper is also a good mon to have in general, and the fact that I didn't know the game well enough to prevent this really shows how tough a Nuzlocke can be without proper game knowledge. I decided to get an encounter on the next route to fill in this hole, and I find an Oddish. I don't have either a Poison or Grass type on the team, and Vileplume can be great later down the line if we get a Leaf Stone, so I add Petulia to the team. While we're fighting trainers, the lineup evolves into Linoon, making him much stronger, not saying a lot, but still. Petulia also evolves, and while she doesn't have any attacking power whatsoever, it's still pretty cool. While I'm grinding my team to Watson's level cap, Sean also evolves, and this is definitely the most exciting of these three evolutions. Swallow is such an amazingly powerful Pokemon with guts, and I'm expecting it to carry us through a lot of tough fights. And another evolution happens, this time being Choji evolving into Hariyama. This one's nice because it's a super Pokemon, especially with Thick Fat. Really nice attack too. Now it's Watson time, and it's pretty easy with Patricia and a bit of good luck. We lead Choji against his Voltorb because a crit self-destruct to take out Patricia. We use Fake Out to get off some damage and then take him out on the follow-up with Vital Throw. We switch to Patricia as his Electrike uses Leer, but it just uses Howl as we take it out with one Mud Shot. Magneton comes out where things get tricky. Admittedly, I should have brought him on to sack for this battle, which would mean I'd have a way to get rid of Confusion from Supersonic. Luckily, even though it hits, we break through an Oak with Magneton with Mud Shot. Manectric's out last and it uses Howl as we snap out of Confusion and take it to low health with a Mud Shot. It hits us with a Quick Attack, but it wouldn't kill with a crit as we take it out due to a lucky damage roll. I got absolutely carried through that fight and it could have gone south very easily. I could definitely have gone in with a better party and strategy, but I'm simply too powerful to need that, I guess. I can already tell that combo's gonna come back to bite me later. On the long road to the next town, I get some encounters starting with Chubbs the Meryl and Gasleek the Coughing. If Meryl has huge power, it could potentially have a use later, but we'll have to see. We also, of course, catch a Spinda on the Ash route, which we name Karen and shove in the box forever. On the route after Fall Arbor Town, I found a Swablu, which I named Beast, because Altaria can really mess up a team with Dragon Dance. Before the weird Team Aqua / Magma Plot and Meteor Falls, I catch a Solrock, which I name Apollo. It really looks like it should have 2 Ps, but it doesn't. That kinda sucks, because now we don't have a Zubat, and Crobat can be really good in this game, but it would cause some type overlap with the rest of our team. I check all of our new Pokemon, and Meryl has Thick Fat. That sucks, but it still could have a good niche against Flannery. For now though, it's time to fight Maxie on Mount Chimney. His Mightyena goes down to some Vital Throws from Choji, and then Paula destroys his Zubat while living a Wing Attack, which wouldn't even have KO'd with a crit. Then his Camerupt is out, and I switch to Sean in case he magnitudes, but he goes for Tackle. I try to debuff his attack with Growl, but he starts using Ember. I end up staying in on some dangerous attacks here, and then switch out into Marshtomp to take it down with Water Gun. That was dangerous. Gotta start playing more carefully, or I'm gonna lose an important Pokemon. I get a Wynot Egg and hatch it by running around a bunch, and then find a Numel and Jagged Pass, which I OHKO with a Headbutt. Linoon is always stronger than I expect. During the grind for Flannery, Chubbs becomes Azumarill, another one of my favorite Pokemon. I honestly really like a lot of the selection in the Hoenn games because so many of my favorites are here. Now just put Eevee in the game and you're solid. Time to take on Flannery. Her Numel and Slugma both go down to a Water Gun and Mud Shot from Patricia as she levels up to 30 thanks to me edging her, which is fine because the level cap ends at the start of the battle. Then Camerupt comes out and it won't go down to a Water Gun, so I use Mud Shot as she sets up Sunny Day. She heals twice and then I use Water Gun in case she has another potion. We just crit our follow-up Mud Shot though, so that wasn't super necessary. Torkoal comes out and it's time to switch into Chubbs, who we can sack in this battle. I click Rollout, hoping to get all 5 hits and take the Torkoal down, but our third one misses as we take big damage from some body slams. We get paralyzed and attracted, and I keep Chubbs in as long as possible to stall at the sun. I was prepared to let him go down, get a safe switch to Choji, but in a moment of weakness, I just couldn't do it. I hard switch to Choji on a body slam, which luckily doesn't paralyze me as the sunlight fades. I fake out for damage, and the next turn Torkoal sets up the sun as I use Vital Throw for about half its remaining HP. Her next body slam paralyzes us, but we break through to land one last Vital Throw, winning us the fight deathless. Afterward, I can catch a Sandshrew, which we also probably won't use, but still could be interesting. Without Pelipper to cheese Norman slacking to protect, the normal gym could be pretty tough. I ran some calcs and realized Gut Swallow can 2-hit KO or OHKO pretty much his whole team up until then, especially if I edge it near level 32. If I just give him a bunch of attack EVs, he'll be able to deal with most of the gym no problem. But what to do against Slacking? I think a bit and decide that after I take down his third Pokemon, I can switch in another member of our team, preferably a bulky one, and then get Choji in on a Truant turn. After that, I can stall another turn and do some damage with Fake Out, because if Slacking flinches on that attacking turn, he still has to take the Truant turn after. This Pokemon sucks, by the way. After that, I should be able to take it out with some strong attacks from Choji. Also, it'll never not be fun to see that +7 on a stat your EV training in. Before that though, I've got to grind quite a bit. I head back to the desert and find Flygon HG the Trapinch in this weird tower. Go subscribe to the guy if you're enjoying this video, he's a much better Nuzlocker than me. We start the fight, and it goes well as we OHKO his Spinda. Vigoroth comes out, and this is a bit risky. If I'm unlucky, a crit slash might be able to take down Sean, but I crit Secret Powder to take it out, which 100% mattered because when I calced it, a normal hit didn't KO. Afterwards, his Lunun is also an OHKO, which must have meant it had a minus defense nature and been a damage roll because my calc didn't see it going down there either. After that is his Slacking, so I switch Petulia in, she's the weakest member of the team, and all of us except Choji probably die to a crit here. She takes a Facade, which luckily doesn't crit, meaning we get a safe switch to Choji on Slacking's loafing turn. We use Fake Out to stall him out, and then use Vital Throw for a big chunk of damage. I noticed something weird here though. See how Vital Throw moves before Slacking's loafing message? Vital Throw is a move with negative priority, which means it usually moves last. Slacking has to move counter though, which is also minus priority and could seriously mess us up if we roll low in our next attack. Knowing this, I Fake Out on the next turn since it's our only move that doesn't do damage, and I call it right as he fails a counter. The next turn, I get lucky and take him out with one last Vital Throw, meaning we've beaten Norman. Now that that's over, we can head to Fortree City and take on the Flying Gym, but it's a long way. On the way there, I catch Squibdarb the Tentacool, and a new Marvel I find Ball, the Voltorb, which kinda sucks because Magneton's a really good Pokemon. After beating up some idiots at the Weather Institute and then Brendan after, we reach Fortree City where we can fight Winona at our level cap of 33. Unfortunately, we don't really have anything on our team that can deal with flying types, which means it's time to grind up some more new team members. Hey, I'm having to do a lot of grinding in this run. Why is that again? Oh yeah, I couldn't figure out the rare candy cheats. Let's take another look at that.
A few minutes later.
Well, that was easy. Using these, I'm able to get all my Pokemon up to the new level cap, but wait. I still have the gym trainers to fight and special attack EVs to get, since our newly added Electrode and Tentacruel probably can't take on Winona on their own right now. Let's look at their stats after they evolve to level 30. Ball. The Electrode has a modest nature, meaning less attack and more special attack, which is exactly what we want on this Pokemon. Finally, a perfect nature. Their notable moves are Thunderbolt and Self-Destruct, since their moveset is pretty limited at the moment. Squibdarb the Tentacruel has a relaxed nature, meaning more defense and less speed, which I'll take. His notable moves are Surf and Ice Beam, and Ice Beam's to deal with mostly just her Altaria and Tropius. I might want to get her some speed EVs so she'll outspeed though. While I'm getting EVs west of Mauville though, I find a shiny Poochyena. Mightyena isn't the most useful Pokemon ever though, so it'll probably just stay in the box. Might be fun to use against Tate and Liza, but for now, Orum's gonna be on the bench. And then, while trying to edge Ball, I ended up over leveling them, meaning they're probably gonna have to stay in the box for the one fight they were gonna shine in. The irony here is palpable, but we'll hopefully be fine with Squibdarb. I'll make sure to not over level this one. This isn't a problem I've had to deal with a ton since I've just started doing hardcore Nuzlocke, but one you gotta really be careful of nonetheless. With that, it's time to fight Winona. We can't quite OHKO Swablu, but Squibdarb gets a freeze with Ice Beam, letting us take it out with no annoying Perish songs. Altaria comes right out, but luckily is coded to always go for Dragon Dance on the first turn. This lets us get it down to red as it gets off the boost, but its Oranberry gets it just out of healing range. We pivot in Janet the Gyarados in her debut and probably only battle, and she lowers Altaria's attack back to 0 as she uses Earthquake, which does nothing to our flying type, not a robot. Altaria hits a weak aerial ace as we take her down with strength, and out comes Tropius. It sets up a sunny day as we switch in Squibdarb, but Solar Beam does barely anything as we one-shot it with Ice Beam. Skarmory comes out next, so Janet comes back in to get off the Intimidate. All we have to do here is not get crit twice as we lower her health with Dragon Rage so Paula can take her out with a Shockwave afterward. And while her second aerial ace crits, we live, letting us get Paula in with minimal damage and the Skarmory goes down. Last is Pelipper, but even a clutch Double Protect can't save it as we take it out with one Shockwave, winning us the fight. From here, there's some story stuff to do before Tate and Liza, and the level cap goes up by 9 whole levels. I catch a Shuppet named Puppy on the way to Little Cove City, where we might as well just fight Brendan. This is his final battle, and his starter isn't even fully evolved, so I think we'll be fine. Tropius is out first, and Choji takes us on with no trouble, since it has no flying type moves. Pelipper comes out next, and it just uses Protect as we switch in Ball. It also gets to Double Protect. Man, why can't I ever get that in VGC? But eventually it goes down to one Thunderbolt. Slugma suffers the same fate, and Grovile's out last. We switch into Sean, since even a crit pursuit doesn't kill here, but it just goes for Leaf Blade, doing minimal damage to our bird from hell. We outspeed it and take it out with one fly, winning the easiest fight of my life. Oh, besides Wally, of course. Afterward, I finally evolved Petulia to Vileplume, which we can teach Giga Drain soon. Patricia also evolves later while we're taking out some trainers, and I pick up some useful TMs, such as Giga Drain, Shadow Ball, and Protect. But unfortunately, on the way up the stupid Ghost-type mountain with the 2 trainers with the worst Pokemon in the game, Wobbuffet, I'm not paying attention against one of them, and Sean's out front, leading to me losing the best Pokemon in the game to the stupid Destiny Bond. This is the worst, because Gut Swallow was really strong, but at least there weren't too many tough fights in the future we needed it for. Frick Wobbuffet though, I hate this thing. There's no way to truly fill the hole left by Sean, but we bring Beast the Altari onto the team to have both a Dragon type and a Flying type for defensive purposes, as well as a Flyer. We also catch a couple new Pokemon, like Wildfire the Torkoal and the Magma Base. Speaking of which, it's time to fight Maxie. Mightyeno lives a Surf on a bit of health and lowers our speed with Scary Face. We bring him to a Sliver after he heals, and he just uses Takedown for a bit of damage. I switch in Ball, as Crobat comes out, and we get hit by Confuse Ray. I decide to risk it and go for a Thunderbolt, but I might have miscalculated because it lives on a Sliver and gets off a bite. Luckily, we break through the confusion one more time in the next turn, take it out, and Elastis Camerupt. We pivot with Beast to negate the Earthquake damage, and then it goes to Patricia. It barely does anything as we nail one last Surf, winning us the fight. Nothing of note happens with Team Aqua, so it's off to Lily Cove. Tate and Liza could definitely be tough, but I'm putting together a plan. After a long while of theory crafting and testing, I've come up with a plan to beat this gym. Take a look. So I lead with Aurum and Janet, getting the double Intimidate off and making Claydol much weaker here, right? What this lets me do is, this lets me live Earthquakes much better, because Earthquake and Ancient Power in Claydol's moveset are both physical. So what I do here is I lead with Bite into Claydol hoping for a flinch, and I taunt the Xatu so it can't be annoying with stuff like Sunny Day, Calm Mind, and Confuse Ray. So Bite does about a quarter of Claydol's health, and Xatu just goes for a Calm Mind, meaning it's going to be stronger, but it will also get taunted without confusing us. And Bite also gets a flinch here, which is super good, because that means Claydol can't get damage off. And after that, no, I consider switching with Janet, but then I click Bite again here into the Claydol, and I use Scary Face on the Xatu, which means that Aurum will now outspeed it and get off taunts before it can attack. Bite here crits, and then also flinches, which you'll see later in the turn. And so Psychic from Xatu does a lot more damage. That's its only attacking move. It lowers Janet's special defense, which means I will have to switch out. But Scary Face also, Scary Face lowers Xatu's speed, meaning it is in a speed tier below Aurum. So Aurum will now be able to get off taunts, which it shakes off every other turn. So we taunt the Xatu again because it shakes it off, and we switch in Mad Dummy the Wobbuffet, which can tank a lot of hits, and it kind of hurts using this after what happened to Sean, but, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. So Xatu gets taunted here, right? And it goes for Psychic into Mad Dummy. Probably because, I don't know, it like expected a taunt again or something, or just picked a random move, I don't know. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. So here I consider switching back into Janet for another Intimidate, but that would not be a very good idea, so I decide not to do it. Aurum goes for another taunt here, right? No, not taunt, we taunted it last, yeah, I think here. And Aurum goes for Scary Face, while Wobbuffet is going to go for Mirror Coat, which was a misplay as it would have done a lot more against Claydol. So Claydol uses Earthquake here, which is why I wanted to use Counter, because it would have gotten a lot of damage in on Claydol. Claydol is a threat here, much less because of Earthquake having its spread damage lessened by Intimidate, having its damage lessened by Intimidate and being a spread move. Mirror Coat does not quite Oko Xatu here, excuse me, but it does get damage off, meaning it will have to use a turn healing, which means I can taunt it with Aurum, but I really shouldn't have. I should have just doubled into Claydol. So Tate and Liza heal Xatu here, which means they have 3 Hyper Potions left, and Claydol gets off an Earthquake, and we get off a taunt, meaning that now we can use Counter with Mad Dummy to get some damage off on Claydol. Look at that damage. That is a little less than half of its health. So here, what I do is I go for Counter, expecting to live another hit. Aurum bites Claydol, bringing it down to a sliver. Well, a little bit of a chunk of health. And I'm worried here because I think Earthquake will kill, but it just barely doesn't, leaving Mad Dummy on 8 HP, as you'll see here in a second when I go into the menu. It doesn't kill Aurum either, which means that Mad Dummy can take it out with a Counter very easily. And by the way, I am like reacting to this live. I probably put like text up on the screen at this point because it's halfway through the recording. But I am now reacting back to this live, so our team's pretty battered here. We can send in Janet, and that will let us get off a good switch, and having a dark type on this team is very, very useful because they will not use Psychic into it. So I consider going... Well, I am a little confused here because I forgot whether or not I used Taunt last turn. ADHD is a lot of fun. But I consider taunting again, but what I end up doing is switching in Puppy because I know they won't use Psychic into Orum's slot because it's a dark type. So I use that to get a free switch in into Banette to do some big damage. It will outspeed Xatu because of the speed drop, which is very, very nice. And here's where something goes wrong, because they double into Janet, killing her, which is not great, but definitely not the worst death we could have possibly had in this fight. So we switch in Ball here, and Ball is able to be very, very useful because it has Light Screen, which can work. It also has Self-Destruct, but I opt against using it because it wouldn't have done much damage to Solrock, and we would take out Xatu anyway with Shadow Ball. So I end up going for Light Screen with Ball, and then using Shadow Ball into Xatu to take it out. This means that they will have Solrock and Lunatone on the field, but that's something that we can very, very easily deal with. Or no, I might have... No, what I did here was I Shadow Balled into Solrock, which takes it out and gets Lunatone out on the field because I expected them to only use 2 Pokemon each on their side. I expected them to send out Lunatone in place of Xatu and Solrock in place of Claydol, but that's not what they do. They just send out the best Pokemon for the job. So I end up going back and doubling into Solrock, taking it out because I ran a calc and found out that Shadow Ball did not OHKO Solrock. So Solrock sets up Sunny Day as it goes down to our Thunderbolt Shadow Ball combo. And Xatu, I'm pretty sure, just goes for Psychic again, maybe? I'm not quite sure. No, it Calm Minds again, which is fine because we will outspeed it with Puppy, meaning that we can take it out and Lunatone will be the last mon on the field. Which I think I just Light Screen here with Ball is what I do. But I forgot it was like a couple weeks ago. But before the fight, I did run a lot of calcs, and I found out that Shadow Ball would KO Xatu here, and that we outsped with Puppy after Scary Face. Lunatone goes for Calm Mind, which is annoying, but something we can deal with, and Shadow Ball OHKOs Xatu, which is very, very nice. I did actually record this live with talking and everything, with commentary, but I ended up discarding it because the music was too loud and my mic quality was bad. So here I think I just double into Lunatone with Thunderbolt and Shadow Ball. Ball will outspeed, Puppy will not. So Psychic into Ball would not have KO'd the crit, does just below half. And then our double in with Shadow Ball and Thunderbolt does take it out, winning us our 7th gym badge. So yeah, we managed to beat Tate and Liza using the most amount of planning I've ever had to do in a Nuzlocke. A lot of that fight relied on luck, and Janet came in absolutely clutch with the flinch and crit against Claydol. Unfortunately, she had to go down, but her sacrifice will not be in vain. With only a few story battles and then one to go before Victory Road, let's march on with our heads held high. The battle against Maxie with Steven goes well, despite Steven having no clue how to play the game. They lead Mightyena and Camerupt as we send out Patricia and Metang. Surf OHKOs the Camerupt and Golbat comes out, and Mightyena takes a good chunk of damage, and Metang sets up a useless Light Screen. We get hit by a Scary Face, meaning we now move last. On the next turn, they double into Metang with Swagger and Confuse Ray, as we do more damage with Surf, and Metang just hits itself. The next turn, they continue hard focusing Metang with a Bite and Takedown, and Metang hits Mightyena with a completely redundant Metal Claw, since we would have taken it out with Surf anyway. But it's fine, as we OHKO the Camerupt that replaces it, and do more damage to Golbat. Maxie's Crobat is out last, and it hits us with a weak wing attack as Golbat hits Metang. Metang hits a useless Psychic on Golbat, as it would definitely have taken Crobat out, and we would have finished Golbat off on the follow-up. Man, the AI battles are frustrating. We do a bit of damage to Crobat, the Mightyena that's out last, and we take some damage to Wing Attack as Metang takes out Mightyena with Metal Claw, letting us finish off Crobat the next turn as it just uses a useless Mean Look. That fight was annoying, but still pretty easy. Now that we have Dive, I can catch some underwater encounters. I get a Clamperl named Pikmin1 and a Relicanth named Big, neither of which are Chinchou, one of my favorite water types to use in this game, which kinda sucks. I might be able to get one sometime, but I don't know. I also get the Brick Break TM from Sootopolis, meaning Choji now has a stronger, not negative priority fighting move. We grab grab the Earthquake DM and then sweep Archie with Ball. He wakes Kyogre and triggers the end of the world, and so it's time to go wake Rayquaza to stop these two idiots from destroying the Hoenn region. Along the way, we catch Steven the Sableye, who is once again not a Zubat, but we do afterwards catch a Golbat named Babs at the Sky Pillar. I evolved it after going back to Mobile City to get the Mach Bike, and now we have this thing, I guess. We wake up the Legendary and solve an ice puzzle made for children, and now it's time to fight the gym. We'll have discs out first, and it can be very annoying. We set up a light screen with Ball, and then switch into Choji on a Sweet Kiss. We hit ourselves and get nailed with an Attract, but for some reason, I just decide to send it. We get hit by some water pulses as we set up 2 bulk ups and then break through the infatuation a 3rd time, taking out the Love Disc with Brick Break. Whiscash goes down too, and Kingdra comes out. If it uses Double Team and we miss Brick Break, this could go bad, but it just uses a water pulse that we're safe to, even with a crit, and we take out the Kingdra. After that, we can safely outspeed and take out his last 2 mons. That was a good fight, but it could easily have gone south. Luck is really carrying me through this run, huh? Before Victory Road, I decided to go to Shoal Cave to pick up some ingredients for a Shell Bell. I find a Spheal, but Petulia overperforms and crits to take it out. Unfortunate, but we should still be fine against the League. I lose my Victory Road encounter too, because I find a Laron with Roar. Fun. Speaking of Victory Road, let's fight Wally. We lead Patricia into a Zaltaria, who I taught Ice Beam from the game corner right before the battle. Roselia is out next, and Ice Beam should KO here, but it lives on a Sliver and fires back with a nasty Giga Drain. Luckily, it doesn't crit, and we take it out in the follow-up. Delcatty comes out, and I switch to Choji, who has a Chesto Berry in case of Sing. It just uses Assist though, which pulls Thunderbolt and doesn't paralyze. We fake out for more damage and get hit by Charm in the next turn, but Brick Break still KOs. Gardevoir comes out next, and here's where it gets tricky. I try to switch in Ball on a Future Sight, but it hits a Psychic, which could have OHKO'd with a crit. I can't set up White Screen because of this, so I switch Puppy in, hopeless, but he throws by going for Future Sight. Unfortunately, he outspeeds and goes for Double Team on the next turn, which causes our Shadow Ball to miss. If he gets enough of those set up, we won't get out of this fight alive. Luckily, on the second turn we hit, causing Gardevoir to go down and Future Sight to fail as Magneton comes out. I pivot to Patricia to bait out a Thunderbolt and switch Choji in. I just have to dodge a status from Tri Attack, but it gets the freeze. And even though I risk a crit, we stay frozen for 2 turns, forcing me to switch Patricia back in on a Tri Attack because of how low Choji is, who should have pivoted through Puppy, and hope Mudshot hits, which it does, winning us a surprisingly hard Wally fight. Finally, we reach the Pokemon League. After running some calcs and changing some movesets, as well as getting all our Pokemon up to the level cap, here's what our stats are looking like. First is Patricia the Swampert, using a moveset of Surf, Earthquake, Horn through level up, Ice Beam, and Iron Tail. Her attack stat is great, and she has good special attack too, with decent bulk and alright speed, and can switch items to best suit the battle. She's our most valuable team member, and while she may have a gentle nature, she is ready to throw down for her friends. Second, we have Puppy the Banette, boasting a moveset of Shadow Ball, Calm Mind, Psychic, and Will-O-Wisp. While he may be somewhat lacking in bulk and speed, his attack stats are nothing to sneeze at with Calm Mind, and the King's Rock he wears like a crown on his head strikes fear into the hearts of his enemies. He's bold and ready to stay wide awake all through this final stretch, even though none of the Elite Four has sleep moves. Next up is Petulia the Vileplume, with Giga Drain, Sludge Bomb, Aromatherapy, and Sleep Powder, and holding a Focus Band. Her attack stats are middling, but her bulk should be enough to carry her to victory, even if she is feeling somewhat lax. Ball. With a moveset of Thunderbolt, Light Screen, Explosion, and Taunt, we're ready to run fists first through all our obstacles. Our surefire accuracy can help us take notes and achieve victory, even when we feel trapped. With great special attack and speed, as well as some care and concern, we can nab a delicious victory with our original style. With our modest nature and a silk scarf, we're ready to dethrone Wallace with a sharp attack. Comment down below if you caught the references in that description. Our next team member is Babs the Crobat with a moveset of Fly, Poison Fang, Double Edge, and Confuse Ray. And with our great speed and surprising HP stat, our Shell Bell can pull us through some sticky situations. While she may be a bit quiet, she's still ready to take down the Pokemon League. Last but certainly not least is Choji, who has Fake Out, Brick Break, Bulk Up, and a Soft Sand boosted Earthquake. With great bulk and the highest attack stat on our team, Choji's ready to sweep through teams even with a mild nature. This is going to be a tough league, but I believe in this team to pull us through. Leave your final guesses on whether or not we can win in the comments below. Let's do this. First is Dark Trainer Sydney. We lead with Patricia, who just barely misses out on the OHKO with Surf as she gets sand attacked. Luckily, we crit to OHKO after he heals up, and he brings out Cacturn. We switch to Babs, who takes a Needle Arm super easily and retaliates with a Fly that one-shots, and Shiftry's out next. It double teams as we use Fly, but we hit it on the next turn for another one-shot. I was expecting Absol there, but I guess he prioritized Extra Sensory and Double Team. Absol does come out right after though, and we switch back to Patricia on the Rock Slide and OHKO with Earthquake. And last out is Crawdon, and we switch to Ball. We use a Surf that wouldn't have taken out Ball with a crit, and fire back with a Thunderbolt, finishing up this very quick game of one-shots. Second is Ghost Trainer Phoebe, who I'm expecting to be a little more tough. She leads with her level 48 Dusclops, who goes down to 1 Shadow Ball from Puppy. Bannock comes out next, and I don't know which one it is, but I'm expecting a Shadow Ball. I switch in Patricia and get burned by a Will-O-Wisp, which is insane because it has both a 15% chance to miss and a 50% chance of not even being on this Bannock. Great, that ruins my plan there. I forgot to put the Soft Sand on Patricia beforehand, but Earthquake still would have been a 75% roll to OHKO. But now we have to just try and two-shot with Surf. She just uses Grudge and then heals though, and I use an Ice Beam which gets a lucky freeze. It doesn't matter though, since I can't risk it thawing out early and messing up my other strats. I take it out with the Surf and then out comes Sableye, who I can't OHKO as I switch to Choji. It double teams as I use Bulk Up, and my Earthquake after misses as it just hits me with a weak Shadow Ball. It doesn't do a whole lot, but it does drop my special defense, which really kinda sucks. You'll see why in a second. It sets up a second double team, but my Earthquake after luckily connects to take it out before it can become really annoying. She then sends out her offensive Banette, which can use Psychic. I need to dodge a crit here and then take Earthquake after, which luckily happens. Last is Dusclops though, and since that Psychic did so much because of the special defense drop, we just need to dodge a crit Shadow Ball, which we also get, letting us outspeed and two-shot her last Dusclops. That was a very lucky fight. Third is Ice Trainer Glacia, who, according to all my calcs, should have just been a one-shot sweep with Choji, but her two Glalie outspeed us somehow. Luckily, they didn't do much besides set Hail and hit a weak Ice Beam as they went down. We waste her two full restores on Walrein, but we're really low as she uses her second, so we switch to Patricia, who would live even a critical hit Surf, and she can outspeed and take the Walrein down with Earthquake. A little messy, but we still pulled through. Last is Dragon Trainer Drake, who's almost a total sweep with Patricia. Ice Beam one-shots most of his Pokemon, and while Altaria and Flygon outspeed, they just use Dragon Dance and Earthquake respectively, which means we can take them out. Kingdra could have been a problem, but we luckily crit to take it out with Earthquake after a Dragon Dance. Salamence couldn't take us out without a crit for both its own Dragon Claw and Flygon's Earthquake. We would have had to get really unlucky to lose against this Elite Four. Finally, it's time to take on Champion Wallace. I got our team up to the level cap with the rare candies, as it would have been plausible to get them with pickup beforehand. First is Wailord, who's OHKO'd by a Thunderbolt from Ball. He sends out Gyarados next, which I wasn't expecting, but it's welcome. He probably sent it out because it has Earthquake. Whiscash comes out next, and we pivot to Babs on the Earthquake. We get off a Confuse Ray, and the Whiscash hits itself. It does so again as we switch in Petulia, who OHKOs with Giga Drain. Milotic comes out, and Petulia can't live a crit Ice Beam. We have to either sack her here to get a safe switch to Ball, or try to hit a Sleep Powder so we can take her out with some Thunderbolts. So, I quick Sleep Powder, and we live, and it hits as well. We switch in Ball, as it stays asleep, letting us hit a crit Thunderbolt. That would have been a 3-shot otherwise because of the Citrus Berry recovery, but I guess I'm just super lucky on this league run through. Tentacruel comes out next and lives a Thunderbolt, but just lands a Toxic so we take it out. Last is Ludicolo, so we switch out to Babs and use Flies. It sets up 2 double teams. This causes us to miss as it sets up 2 more, but we hit it on the follow-up. This lets it hit Leech Seed though, so we have to switch out as it double teams again. Our team looks pretty battered, but I send in Petulia to try to land a Sludge Bomb. We miss the first one as Ludicolo gets us into crit range with a Surf. I decide to stay in and risk it with another Sludge Bomb, and Petulia, the Giga Chad, up against a 5 double team Ludicolo and dead to a crit, lives on 4 HP and fires back with a Sludge Bomb heard around the world, felling the Demon Ludicolo and getting us into the Hall of Fame. This has been one of the most enjoyable Nuzlockes I've ever done, and I'm super proud of this team, but it somehow feels incomplete. I still feel like there's one last challenge out there that needs completing. Deep within Meteor Falls, a challenge calls out to me, something stronger than I've ever faced before. After looking around for a while, I find one of the strongest trainers in the world, Steven Stone, and it's time for the true final battle. First though, I want to pay respect to the 4 fallen warriors in our box. Greater the Poochyena, Bagel the Wingull, Sean the Swallow, and Janet the Gyarados all helped us out during this run, and it especially wouldn't have been possible without Sean's huge help. Unfortunately, they all fell in one way or another, and it's time to give them a proper send-off. To Greater, you could have been much greater than the sum of your parts if I hadn't handled you so irresponsibly. At least Orem will carry on your legacy, but you can never truly be replaced. To Bagel, you helped us out in so many early game fights, and you'll be honored for a long time. To Janet, your reign was short-lived, but the showdown against Tate and Liza wouldn't have been possible without you. And the fight against Winona would have been much more tough for that matter. Here's to you saving so many team members and preventing what could have been a huge snowball. Finally, to Sean, words cannot describe how hard it was to lose you, and how much harder it is to finally let you go. Believe me, your legacy will be remembered long into the life of this channel, and when I look back on all my greatest Nuzlocke heroes, you will be the first and the greatest. Goodbye, old friend. Now let's go win the fight of our lives. Steven leads Skarmory, who goes down to 1 Thunderbolt from Ball. Next is Aggron, so we pivot to Babs on an Earthquake, and then Patricia on a Thunder, and then take it out with 1 Surf. Cradley's out, so we switch to Petulia to get off a Sleep Powder as it just uses Ingrain. We switch to Choji as it stays asleep long enough for us to get off 2 Bulk Ups. We OHKO the Cradley and the Armaldo that follows, and then it's out to Metagross. If Choji gets crit here, we lose yet another great teammate and one of my favorite Pokemon. But Choji hangs on and fires back with a one-shot Earthquake. Claydol comes out last, and I switch to Patricia as it sets up Reflect. We use Surf, but it hangs on and fires back with a weak Earthquake. Steven starts healing, but even his Ocean of Full Restores isn't enough to stop Patricia from eventually landing a crit taking out the Claydol and truly winning us my first ever hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokemon Emerald on my very first attempt, sort of. This was such a fun challenge. The fights, the planning, the satisfaction of winning all those incredible battles, and all the friends we made along the way were just incredible. I've never been more proud of a Hall of Fame team, and 4 deaths is a new personal record for me. I think I'll be taking a bit of a break from Nuzlocke content for the next challenge, where I'm going to try to beat Pokemon Heart Gold with only 1 Mankey. I'm expecting it to be pretty tough for some fights, especially Morty and Koga, but a great offense might be enough to counteract our not great moves and abysmal defense. If you enjoyed this video, as always, make sure to leave a like down below and comment with any challenges you think I should do. I'm thinking of trying a Nuzlocke of a ROM hack like Inclement Emerald or Renegade Platinum next, or maybe a Monotype Nuzlocke. Make sure to subscribe and notifications on so you don't miss any future uploads, and follow me on Twitter for updates on my content. I also now have a Discord server that you can join to talk about Pokemon and Pikmin and other stuff with me and some other cool people. With that, I think I've rambled long enough. This run and video were both a whole lot of fun, but this chapter of my life has come to a close. So until next time, this is Shoot Kapow, over and out.